What is going on? Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today I am going to be talking about the top free agents remaining that the New York Jets could sign. It's not necessarily, oh, like this guy's the best guy in the market, so he's the one that you should be able to sign. It's more to do with like need and fit and just a whole bunch of different things. We have a few different positions to get into. We will start with the linebacker position, and the first guy on this list is Bobby Wagner. Yes, he is up there in age, but if the Jets are going for it in this short little, 2-year potential window with Aaron Rodgers and are going for a Super Bowl this year, well, then adding a guy like Bobby Wagner, despite his age, he's still playing at a high level. He was just a cap casualty. It wasn't because he was ineffective with the Rams last year. It was a cap casualty. He had 89 solo tackles, 50 stops, just 4 missed tackles. In coverage, he allowed a 92.4 passer rating. He played in all 17 games, and he has that connection with Robert Saleh when they were back in Seattle together, now almost a decade ago. But still, even at this point in his career, guy could still play. The guy absolutely could still play. We know Robert Saleh loves his linebackers. Yes, they love Quincy. Yes, they love having CJ Mosley, but they need one more linebacker, at least I think. And if they want to go for that like 1 year in it to win it kind of thing, Bobby Wagner would be that guy. You could also just bring back Quan Alexander, which you guys know how much I love Quan Alexander. I think he's the perfect guy to fill that role as that third linebacker. He had 47 solo tackles last year, 25 stops, 9 missed tackles, a 96.2 passer rating, and played all 17 games. He didn't start all 17 games, but I thought he was really good for the Jets last year. Didn't play a ton of snaps. He wasn't really their starter. It was CJ Mosley and Quincy Williams. They bring both those guys back. If you want depth, someone who came in and played well, and someone that Robert Saleh, another guy. I know that he has the connection, and sometimes it's a little bit cliche or cheesy to just go with the guys who you have that connection with, but it matters. You know that you have someone who could fit the system well, and in a year where you're going for it, you don't want someone learning on the fly. Both Bobby Wagner and Quan Alexander could be able to come right in and know what they're doing, so either option is fine there. And again, like just two different kind of, like Quan is 29, maybe about to be 30 this year, where Bobby Wagner is on the sunset part of his NFL career. Either option's good, but those are the two linebackers that I would be interested in for the New York Jets right now. Next up, another one of my favorite free agents still on the market, Ben Jones. He is the former center of the Tennessee Titans. The Jets hired the offensive line coach from the Tennessee Titans, Todd Downing. This is a seamless fit if you're looking for a veteran on the market. Connor McGovern is still out there as a free agent right now. Centers really haven't been getting big deals. They've been coming way under market value. So if you can get Ben Jones on a 1-year deal, and I mean, maybe there's still a world where you bring back Connor McGovern, but it just feels like they're moving on there. It doesn't necessarily feel like the Jets are interested in bringing him back, but Ben Jones, legitimately great, even at this point in his career, pass protector. He allowed 1 sack this past year, just 10 pressures, 2 hits, 5 penalties in 12 games. This is the first time he was a little bit banged up. He had a concussion last year, but this is like your 1-year stopgap. You draft someone in the mid rounds, have them sit for a year, and then they could take over in 2024. They're like, kind of how they drafted and stashed Jeremy Ruckert. A similar situation with if you were to take a center in the NFL draft this upcoming year. Now, I don't know if they would move up for John Michael Schmitz, who could go as early as the back half of the first round, or maybe is sitting there at 43. I don't think they're going to have pick 43, so that kind of takes him out of the equation. But there are other centers in the mid rounds that you could look to attack. But Ben Jones could come in and play right away, and I think they would go more veteran route initially with Aaron Rodgers. Onto the defensive side, or back to the defensive side, I suppose. Interior defensive line is a sneaky need. You lost Sheldon Rankins in free agency. He got a nice little 1-year deal with the Texans. You also lost Nathan Shepard, not secretly, but he kind of got a bag from the Saints. Good for him, but a little bit more than I would have been comfortable giving him. More of the story, outside of Quinnen Williams on the interior, you bring back Solomon Thomas. Very, very nice guy. Great guy who's, all off the field, he's a phenomenal human being, but he's just, he struggled last year. That's probably the best way to put it nicely. He really struggled last year. He's a little undersized also to play on the interior. He's a little small, so they could use some size. And, I mean, 2 guys that jump out to me. One, Calais Campbell, again, kind of in that same boat. as really, I mean, Ben Jones or even Bobby Wagner, both those guys. Last year, he had 5.5 sacks, 18 solo tackles, 14 quarterback hits, 16 stops, 34 pressures on the interior, which is a pretty nice number. And he played in 14 games. Again, just add depth, rotational pieces. He's good. He could still get after the quarterback. He's not the best in the run. He's not bad in the run game, but they would definitely need more of that prototypical run-stopping interior guy. But Calais Campbell could kind of replace what Sheldon Rankins did, Rankins wasn't great against the run either. He was more of your pass rusher, but again, just a veteran who's been there, done it before. They have a little bit of a relationship from Jacksonville, Robert Saleh and Calais Campbell. Just a guy who's been doing it for a long time, at a high level for a really long time. If he's looking to go to a place where they're in win now mode, makes a ton of sense. You could also go Matt Ioannidis on the interior. He had 25 solo tackles last year, 17 stops, 35 pressures, 1 sack in 13 games. Another guy who's kind of more of just that interior rusher. But again, the Jets lost a ton on the interior. Haven't really done a lot to replace it. That's kind of a sneaky big need for this team. I would imagine that they could look to fill that need in the draft as well, but you could use another veteran in here, and a guy like Ioannidis who's just been around the block. He's done it before, but for a bunch of different teams. I think he'd be a really nice fit too. Lastly, I know they traded for Chuck Clark, and they still have Jordan Whitehead on the roster, but safety's still a little bit of a need, and if they want to fill that in free agency, there's 2 guys available that I think could make sense. One is Taylor Rapp, who plays safety. He had 70 solo tackles last year, an 82-1 passer rating, 2 interceptions. What I really like from him is he is a great tackler. The biggest issue with the New York Jets last year, or one of the biggest issues with the defense last year, was missed tackles, especially at the safety position. Joyner and Whitehead, both those guys really struggled with missed tackles, so that would really be able to take that away. And he plays all over the field. He could play deep. He could play up in the box, which I guess is kind of what Chuck Clark does, similar in that regard. But he could be fine at free safety, and then you could have Chuck Clark play strong safety. You could free up over $7 million by moving on from Jordan Whitehead. And I think it's an upgrade at that position for the New York Jets. And then lastly, one more safety, Rodney McLeod. He is a veteran, obviously spent some time with the Philadelphia Eagles. Joe Douglas has the connection to the Eagles. Anytime a former Eagle becomes a free agent, they get linked to the Jets. They almost signed Fletcher Cox. This could be a similar situation. He had 67 tackles last year, a 94.8 passer rating allowed, 2 interceptions. He can play in the box or deep. Most of his career, he's been a deep playing safety. Last year, he played more in the box for the first time in his career. Again, you could kind of move him around. You could do a bunch of different things, but he could play back in free safety and more than likely be fine doing that role also. So I would be okay with the New York Jets adding either of those 2 safeties, and any of these guys that I listed off. I gave you 7 different guys that are still available that the Jets could attack in free agency. What position or which player would you like the Jets to attack still in free agency? Let me know. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Matt O'Leary. I will catch you next time.